Hello, everyone. I think we're live. Welcome, welcome. So excited to have you guys with us. If you are coming in for abortion in Trump's America, you are in the right place. So excited to see so many of you logging in right now from all across the United States. I want to make sure that everybody can chat. Okay, now I see the chat. Awesome. You guys are already chatting it up. That's so great. I would love for everyone tonight to put in the chat, where are you calling in from? And why don't we do the weather? Who has the nicest weather across the United States right now? It's warming up over here in Texas. We are a balmy 73 degrees in the Dallas area. So I want to hear, how are you guys doing? Are you still really cold? How's everybody surviving? What is it, daylight savings? I'm still tired. I'm still figuring it out. Those of you with kids, it's just a hopeless cause, right? Hopefully you're hanging in there. Okay, I'm seeing Ohio. We've got Texas, Missouri. What else do we have? I want to hear from everybody. 75 tomorrow in Kansas. Wow, it is really warming up. There you go, in the Great Plains. Beautiful here in North Carolina. Thank you, Susan, for being here. Missouri, high of 70. Awesome. Got another text in. Welcome, Maria. Chico, California. Awesome. 67 in Virginia. We've got Miami, Florida. Miami's always nice. Like when we were all freezing our rear ends off, my Miami people were like still in paradise. It's ridiculous. All right, Dayton, Ohio, 75 degrees and sunny. Welcome, Scott. Thank you so much for being with us. Awesome. 71 in Colorado. Is it nice everywhere? Like, is anybody cold? Okay, Atlanta, 60. Throw on like a cardigan or something with that, right? Okay. Connecticut, about 50 degrees. Good to see you, Tom. Thanks for being here tonight. So good. All right. Keep chatting it up. And as the evening goes on, as the program rolls along, we would love for you guys to share ideas. Tell us what you think. We want to hear from you tonight. Want to hear if you're inspired by something, if you have a question about something. And at the very end, maybe we'll stay on a little bit longer to go ahead and take your questions. So let's see here. Somebody's congratulating somebody. Okay. Well, congratulations. Whoever needs congratulations. Okay. 60 to 80 degrees. Gotcha. 60 in Ohio. So is 60? Well, 50 is the coldest that I'm seeing so far. Is anybody colder than 50? What do we got here? Everybody's warming up. This is good news. We're going to have a lovely spring, probably a really hot summer. For those of us in Texas, never fails, right? So good. Well, we're so excited that you guys are with us tonight. We're going to let you chat here for another minute, and then we're going to get started with our program. But we've got so many wonderful things to talk about tonight. The victories, the challenges, where we go from here in post-Roe America as we look forward to paving a path for an abortion-free America. There's no doubt we've got work to do. So we're going to outline all of that for you guys tonight. And if you are in a state where you're in a pro-life state, like Elissa and I are, calling in from Texas tonight, we protect life at conception. That's awesome. But Texas needs to stay pro-life, right? And then you've got other states across the United States who have, abortion till a point or allow abortion until the point of birth. I know many of you are, calling in from states here where, like New Mexico, where you have abortion until the point of birth. And I know it grieves you, but there are things that you can do to change the game for life. And so we're just excited to encourage you all tonight. If you have a friend that wants to join us, a pro-life friend, send them prolifewebcast.com. Again, that's prolifewebcast.com. And we're going to go ahead and get started here in just a moment. All right. And Tina, you're in Virginia, right? You in Virginia?
Yes.
How is it in Virginia? Are you in the 60s?
It was 70s today. I think it was 71 at one point this afternoon. Yeah, very nice.
Okay.
Sunny. It's pretending though. Virginia gives you little teases, and then all of a sudden it's like 35 degrees again. You're like, what just happened?
What just happened? Yeah. Texas does this thing where it can't make up its mind and then it commits, right? Elissa, it's like you wake up and I'm like, am I in a parka today or am I in a t-shirt and shorts? I have no idea. So,
and then we have tornadoes. So it's almost that time. So
depending where you are, you also get some hurricanes too. So near the Gulf of America, apparently. So there you go. Awesome. Okay. Well, just so we have a nice fancy recording for everyone, we are going to go ahead and get started a little bit more formally. Let me make sure that we are recording here. It looks like we are good to go. So more formally, Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Abortion in Trump's America, sponsored by Sidewalk Advocates for Life. Thank you for making time tonight for this powerful discussion examining the whirlwind of changes in the abortion landscape since the presidential election. And we're going to be discussing what else is on the horizon, including how you can be a part of ending abortion in our country. I'm Laura Musica, President and CEO of Sidewalk Advocates for Life. We're the nation's largest peaceful sidewalk outreach organization, and it is my great joy. I don't always get to do this. I get to be the MC tonight. Sometimes I'm a guest, I'm presenting, right? So it's so fun to moderate this discussion with these two beautiful, incredibly smart women who are going to pour into you tonight and give you some really important information. For those of you still getting to know us, Sidewalk Advocates for Life, the host of this event, last year, by God's grace, we celebrated, believe it or not, 10 years of reaching out to abortion-vulnerable women on the sidewalks outside of abortion and abortion referral facilities. And I'm so excited, so blessed to share with you tonight that any day now, we're going to mark the 24,000, is that how you say it? 24,000 women served and babies saved from abortion, thanks to the loving outreach of Sidewalk Advocates. If you're a Sidewalk Advocate or you otherwise go to the sidewalk and pray, say hello in the comments. We want to give you a shout out. Thank you for going to abortion facilities. I know some of you may be in a season right now where you can't get to the sidewalk as much. If you've been out on the sidewalk, we want to give you a shout. So go ahead and put it in the chat, and let's celebrate together this incredible work that we're all doing as a family and as a community. And best of all, these miracles that we've been seeing are happening peacefully within the love of Christ. There's no ugly altercations. We don't have reputations as sidewalk advocates of getting into police face-offs. Not even when there was a weaponized FBI and DOJ who was actively using the FACE Act as a weapon to prosecute pro-life individuals did we see any major problem. Now, we were still on eggshells. We were still really watching our back. It was tough, but we were able to stay above the fray. So armed with our pledge of integrity, Sidewalk Advocates have stood outside these facilities in rain and snow, wind and heat, sharing a smile, a gift bag. That's really the biggest tool we use now on the sidewalk, is a gift bag filled with life-affirming resources and the love of Christ with those that we encounter. We pray, we reach out in peace and love, and we get to do so without having to break the law, which is good news for so many of us that don't have time to sit in jail, right? Even if it's true that some laws have impacted our outreach, sometimes we have to work around bubble and buffer zones, and we still see success, thanks be to God. And that's not all. Thanks to the intercession of Sidewalk Advocates, we just celebrated that our 103rd worker has just left the business. The latest one was in Ohio. And I always say it's a winning recipe, right? Because you've got, when you help enough women who are going into the abortion facility and you help enough workers, those who work in the facility, it's a perfect storm, and abortion facilities eventually have to close their doors. And now we're celebrating 58 facility closures where there has been a presence of Sidewalk Advocates. So again, together we have all prayed and served, striving to end abortion, one woman, one family, one community at a time. And we did this during the horrific reign of Roe, 50 years of abortion on demand through all 9 months of pregnancy, absolutely unbelievable. And we're doing it now during the Dobbs era. We've done it during calmer times, and we've conducted our outreach when the federal government itself seemed bent on preventing us and others in the pro-life movement from providing women with the vital information they need to make an informed decision about their future and the life of their preborn child. The bottom line, whoever is in the White House, whatever your state law, whatever the prevailing opinion of the culture on the life issue, Sidewalk Advocates are laser focused on continuing our outreach on helping women in crisis. So yes, Roe's been overturned. We are more secure now in exercising our First Amendment rights to do sidewalk outreach. We have a more friendly administration. But I also don't need to tell you that abortion is still being pushed on the American people from every end in the culture. We have these elaborate abortion funding systems now that are funneling women from our pro-life states to the next nearest abortion facility. Thanks be to God, I actually just talked to a Texas woman who had a abortion scheduled at 6 months of pregnancy in Washington, D.C. She was due to abort her son yesterday in Washington, D.C. to fly from Dallas. I'm going to tell you the whole story at the very end of the webcast. I got on the phone with her and I was able to, by God's grace, convince her to abandon her abortion appointment. And she is now collecting support and being prayed for and loved by our community. This baby boy has been saved. But I'm telling you, it is a tall order, because when she canceled her abortion appointment, the abortion fund, the ones that had her flight paid for, her hotel paid for, everything paid for, they were putting money through Zelle in her account. She could have made money off of eating meals on the road, headed to her abortion and coming back, right? The amazing thing is that she said yes to life, but they could not stop calling her. They would not stop calling her. They were texting her that evening, calling her, "We'll hold your appointment." You know, it was absolutely unbelievable, playing on her every fear, because the abortionist gets a kickback in many of these cases. Unbelievable. Yes, we still have work to do. And it's not only the work of reaching out to abortion vulnerable women and men, it's also the hard work of changing the minds of our family members, our friends, our neighbors, right? Convincing them, bringing to them the case of the inherent dignity of every human life, the innate evil of abortion, and the power of peace, prayer, and love to turn the tide for life. So with all that being said, thank you for spending time with us tonight to talk about where the pro-life movement really stands at this unique point in history, and to learn together what we can do next to protect life, preserve our rights, to help moms in crisis, and stay safe and successful in our mission to make abortion illegal and unthinkable in this era. So here are the three main questions we're going to discuss tonight. Number one, is the pro-life cause winning or losing? I mean, that's a really good question to ask at this point in history, right? Number two, is there really a path to an abortion-free America? What do the roadblocks look like? How hard are they to overcome? And then number three, how can you be a part of a winning strategy that is gradually ending abortion? And you're going to want to stay on to the very end of the hour, because not only will I be telling you that crazy story of this mom who said yes to life, said yes to love, canceled her late-term abortion appointment. Again, her son would have lost his life yesterday, but she chose life. We're also going to make a huge announcement about how we together can help more moms like Maria. This will be an opportunity that you'll be given to save lives and counter the abortion industry like never before. So I hope you'll stay on with us this hour. Give us this hour and we'll give you our best, and you'll be able to walk away with some important action items. To facilitate this incredibly important discussion, we have with us Elissa Graves, constitutional law attorney and the Sidewalk Advocates for Life board president, and Tina Whittington, executive vice president of Students for Life of America. We're going to be covering law and culture. So Elissa will take life and Tina will take what it means to change culture. And we believe that you're here for a reason tonight, or you're watching the recording for a reason, right? And we believe that God will speak to your heart about the role that you are called to play, or the greater role that you're called to play in making a post-Roe America an abortion-free America. So with all that being said, let's go ahead and kick off with a word of prayer, if you all would join me. Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight in the mighty name of Jesus. And Lord, we just thank you for allowing us already to see the miraculous. Tens of thousands of lives saved through the power of prayer and peaceful outreach, the overturning of Roe versus Wade, eternal souls flooding out of the abortion industry into the arms of sidewalk advocates, and then Christ, and then seeing these facilities one by one gradually shutting down. Lord, may we have eyes to see and ears to hear. May we see and hear that you are moving even when we can't see it. And even when we feel frustrated about some of these ballot initiatives in our state houses, or in our states, or what's going on in our state houses, that we can be assured that you are at work if we would just bring Christ to our communities, to our states. We pray, God, that you would be in our discussion tonight. We know so many people are here tonight to be encouraged, and also to find out what it is that they are called to do in the greatest human rights battle on earth. And so we just pray tonight that our words would be your words, and that so many would walk away with renewed vigor and instruction in what it is that they are called to do in post-Roe America and helping post-Roe America become an abortion-free America, which we believe, God, is your will. We thank you, Lord. We love you. It's in your most holy and precious name we pray. Amen. All right. Well, let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our constitutional law attorney, Elissa Graves. Elissa serves as board president of Sidewalk Advocates for Life, and in her law practice, she represents clients in a wide range of constitutional law and pro-life matters. Elissa earned her law degree at the University of Texas School of Law. I'm an Aggie, but it's a good school. We'll allow it. She graduated in 2013, and while a student there, she volunteered with the Central Texas Coalition for Life. Shout out to our community there in Austin, Texas. She was a sidewalk counselor and participated in the local 40 Days for Life campaign. Previously, Elissa worked as legal counsel at Alliance Defending Freedom. Let's go ahead and welcome Elissa. How are you this evening, Elissa?
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Wonderful. Well, good to have you. Like everyone in the pro-life movement, everyone who understands the inherent dignity of human life, the Sidewalk Advocates for Life national team was thrilled by the Supreme Court's Dobbs decision that at last ended the nearly 50-year reign of Roe. But I think so many of us have been surprised, perhaps even shocked by what has happened state by state since that decision came down. So I would love for you to talk to us about the abortion landscape across the country. Why is it that some states are banning or greatly limiting abortion, others are not? And what about the lawsuits that are still pending or resulting from some of these legislative decisions?
Yeah. So what happened when Roe was overturned with Dobbs versus Jackson Women's Health? We returned the issue to the states. So that is now outside of the realm of the federal constitution, which Roe said we had a right to abortion under the federal constitution, and has returned the issue to the states. That means every single state is tasked with understanding, creating these laws regulating or approving of abortion. And so since Dobbs, that's exactly what we've seen. And there's been a lot of surprises, a lot of things that weren't very surprising as well. So the first type of law that really came into place post-Roe was something called trigger bans. Now, trigger bans existed in a handful of states, and they said they were passed before Dobbs, before Roe versus Wade was overturned. And they essentially said, if Roe is ever overturned in this state, abortion will be made illegal in 45 days after judgment. So Texas had one of those laws, as did Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Tennessee, and Idaho, and I think a few more. At least one of those was enjoined and was never able to be enforced. And I believe that is in Idaho. I can't remember. But so that wasn't allowed to go through. But other states actually took the position, and I believe Texas took this position, that the pre-Roe abortion bans were in effect. And so what happened is that in a lot of states, when Roe versus Wade happened, or before Roe versus Wade, they had laws banning abortion. And then they did not repeal the law. So it remained on the books. And that may be surprising to some people, that a lot of times when a law is held unconstitutional, it actually stays in the laws. You can find it by the legal citation, because it's just a lot of work for the legislature to take it off the books. So a few states said that, oh, well, see, this law is still here. And now that Roe is not blocking it, we're going to enforce that law. So in the time after Dobbs with the trigger bans and things like that, let's talk about what the current landscape is now. So far be it for me to recommend a pro-abortion website, but actually the Center for Reproductive Rights runs a really good map of abortion restrictions if you need to know your specific state's restrictions. Now, of course, it's more pro-abortion language than we like or anything like that, but it's a very up-to-date map of the laws in your state. And I think I can put it in the chat so you can look at it. Let me do that real quick. There we go. All right. So Looking at these, about 12 states have total bans on abortion. 4 states ban at 6 weeks, then 2 ban at 12 weeks, and then 1 bans at 18 weeks. So let's talk about judicial decisions and how they impact abortion restrictions across the country. So lawsuits were initiated almost immediately after Roe was overturned. In Texas, we had Texas taking the position that they could immediately ban abortion. And so all of these pro-abortion groups, these clinics were trying to get as much time as they could to have abortions across the country. So they immediately filed lawsuits trying to stop these laws. And in some states, it was actually successful. And they were able to get injunctions stopping pro-life laws from being implemented. And an injunction is simply when you bring a lawsuit and you ask for an injunction, it's asking the court, can you please stop this law from being enforced while you're deciding if it's constitutional or not? So an injunction doesn't mean a law is invalid. It just means, hey, we're going to take a pause and we're going to look at this and we're going to preserve the status quo. And so that's happened in a few states. For example, Utah is currently at 18 weeks because the Utah Supreme Court upheld a lower court's injunction against their trigger ban. And so while the lawsuit proceeds, they're enforcing a previous restriction. And it really can take years for these types of lawsuits to proceed to a judgment, and the injunction is going to stay in place for a while. So similarly, in Wyoming, a judge temporarily blocked a ban on most abortions that was enacted by the legislature in 2023. And aside from all these judicial decisions, we also have state constitutional protections, which we've probably heard a lot about in this past election. So though the U.S. Supreme Court has made it clear that you cannot protect abortion under the federal constitution, that allows the states to protect it under their individual state constitutions. A lot of state constitutions don't even mention abortion. And so that's where the movement has been to change things. And so let's see, since Dobbs, there's been several states who have passed what are called ballot initiatives, where you place on the ballot whether or not to amend the state constitution. And so as a result of this past election, we have new states that have no bans on abortion or ban it by ability because voters voted in these, they voted in abortion into the state constitutions. And on the other side, some state Supreme Courts have actually recognized like an implied right to abortion in state constitutions. The California Supreme Court was probably the first one in 1969, so before Roe versus Wade, and said that the California Constitution enshrines the right to abortion. So I kind of want to take a look, comparing and contrasting about 2 different states. So let's look at Ohio and Iowa. So in 2023, Ohio voters enshrined abortion protections in the state constitution. And courts are currently deciding now how that amendment impacts existing laws in Ohio, because Ohio had several laws that were pro-life, including, I believe, a heartbeat law that's now been permanently enjoined. And so courts are trying to decide now how Ohio can restrict abortion with what's already on the books while also protected by the state constitution. Now in Iowa limits abortion at 6 weeks. And the state Supreme Court found that the Iowa Constitution does not protect a right to abortion. Previously, Iowa had a heartbeat law and it was enjoined. There was an injunction against it. But when the Iowa Supreme Court said that it's not a fundamental right under the Iowa Constitution, they removed that injunction against the law. So again, it's going to differ by state. It's always been a little bit, states have had some control, but now they have all of the control. And they're able to determine exactly what they want to prohibit, what they want to allow. And that's where we really need to focus our efforts.
Thank you for helping us understand that, Elissa. I think that's one of the most challenging things to deal with in the Dobbs era. You know, we may think that the abortion issue is settled in a particular state, but as we can see, a lawsuit can change that situation very quickly. If some of you are like, hey, I don't like going to a pro-abortion website, although I'm with Elissa. I actually love to snoop on the abortion industry. They quite often have really good websites with really good information. But if you want a pro-life website to go to, you can go to sidewalkadvocates.org/post-Roe-America. That's sidewalkadvocates.org/post-Roe-America. And it shows the status of abortion in each one of our 50 states. And we do have to update it regularly. And I shout out to our friends in Utah. I have visited that state a couple of different times. I know that they are keeping vigil to see what is going to happen there, not unlike a handful more of you across the United States. Elissa, let's turn to recent state elections that have had abortion on their ballots. So last year alone, we had 10 states voting on measures to enshrine the right to abortion in the state constitution. We had 7 succeed and 3 fail. And I really do feel like it was a victory to see which ones failed, why they failed, right? So the ones that succeeded were Arizona, Colorado, Maryland, Missouri, Montana, Nevada, and New York. And then it failed in 3. So we preserved pro-life laws in Florida, Nebraska, and South Dakota. Again, some of these outcomes were really surprising. Take Missouri, for example. I thought that would be possibly a slam dunk, at least be in the other category. Do you foresee more ballot measures like this? And what do we need to know about these?
So I absolutely anticipate that we're going to see more ballot measures in the years to come. I think it's something that's very important to voters. Something that's important to keep in mind as well is a ballot initiative doesn't necessarily have to protect abortion. We saw in Kansas, they attempted and unfortunately it failed, that you can have in the Constitution that abortion is not protected by that state's constitution. And what's great about a constitutional amendment on that end is that once it's in the Constitution, it's really difficult to remove. And so getting a state constitutional amendment upholding life would be quite the victory and something we should really look towards. Before I go on, I kind of want to give an overview of what a ballot measure is for those who might not know, because they can be very different in different states. So a ballot initiative or a ballot measure is essentially just a law or an issue that's placed on a statewide or even a local ballot. And so what we're talking about here is generally putting in the issue of abortion on the ballot and whether or not it will be protected under a state constitution. So what we saw this past election cycle was there was quite the move to protect abortion in state constitutions. And I want to take a look at 2 of those states and talk about those and what we can learn from those going forward. So the first is Arizona, where abortion protections passed. And so under the Arizona Constitution, abortion is protected until viability. And according to the Arizona Attorney General, the new constitutional provision says that Arizonans can access abortion prior to fetal viability. After fetal viability, Arizonans can access abortion care when necessary to preserve the life or the physical or mental health of the mother based on the judgment of a medical professional. So essentially, they can still obtain abortion if it's having a detrimental effect on mental health, for example. They just need a doctor willing to testify to that. And we know that they can find a way for that to happen. And the way that the Arizona Constitution defines fetal viability kind of leaves a little too much flexibility. And it says fetal viability is the point in the pregnancy when, in the good faith judgment of a treating healthcare professional and based on the particular facts of the case, there is a significant likelihood of the fetus's sustained survival outside the uterus without the application of extraordinary medical measures. So without the application of extraordinary medical measures, they could say, well, having to stay in the NICU for a few months is an extraordinary medical measure. And things like that. That's really disturbing to me. That's allowing abortion essentially up until birth, as long as we say that there's these threats to mental health, to physical health, or that this baby could not survive outside of the womb. What's the time of viability is a little too flexible in this law. And I lived in Arizona for several years, and so this was particularly shocking to me. Arizona was very pro-life, and to see them turn so quickly in less than 10 years is alarming. And I think that should really serve as a wake-up call to us to know that safe states are not always safe. So another one that we heard a lot about was Florida. So Florida had a proposed amendment to their state constitution that would protect abortion up through the 24th week of pregnancy. And what surprised me when I was looking at this was that a majority of Florida voters actually approved of the amendment. So it was a 57% of people who voted for the amendment. But Florida requires there to be a 60% majority for a constitutional amendment. And again, Florida, that should be a wake-up call that such a high percentage of people would vote to protect abortion. That's only 3% away from the threshold needed. And so we won in Florida, but I think we really need to look out. I would not be surprised if this does not come back in Florida. So what do you need to know about your state? So you need to know what's on your ballot, and you need to know what a yes vote and what a no vote means if there's a ballot initiative. So you'll most likely be able to read anything that's going to be on your ballot prior to Election Day. So I live in Texas, and I vote in Dallas County, and I'm able to pull my entire ballot before Election Day. And so that I can see exactly what is going to say on my ballot, what they will be asking my opinion on. Because sometimes I'm surprised. And I'm a lawyer who's very into these kind of things. And so it's really important to know what's on your ballot and to know how to vote. Sometimes these ballot measures, maybe unintentionally, are worded in such a way that it's confusing what a yes vote or a no vote means. And so what I recommend, if there's any sort of ballot initiative on your ballot about abortion or really anything, you can reach out to your state's local family policy council. Now, family policy councils, I think they have one in each state. They're conservative organizations that promote life, family. And so usually they put out voter guides, and they'll be able to guide you in what a yes vote and no vote means for ballot initiatives, what things you should be aware of in your state. And you can usually just Google your state's name and Family Policy Council. In Texas, we have Texas Values. And ordinarily, these organizations put out voter guides that can really help guide you with ballot measures. And most importantly, go vote. I venture to say that a lot of people in local elections especially don't vote. So it may not be a majority of people in your state approving of these abortion measures. It's a majority of the people who are going to vote. And so it's just really important to stay active in your local community and understand what's going to be on your ballot.
Yeah, such good information. Thank you, Elissa. Before we let you go, kind of last couple questions here. What impact do you think the new administration will have on potential state ballot measures going forward? Like, what difference does it make that Trump's in office? And most importantly, what should pro-life residents of our various states say or do to help their fellow citizens understand the importance of this issue? I think you already highlighted, how we can look it up, how we can have a greater understanding and bring that to our neighbor. But, if we even went a step further, because we know so many people of faith and conscience are going to the ballot box and they're scared. They're afraid they're not going to have ethical ectopic pregnancy treatment, miscarriage management, or access to emergency early delivery, which, by the way, is allowed in all 50 states. A lot of people don't realize that. I have a podcast that just came out a couple weeks ago on this. If you want to go look for the Laura Musica Show, wherever you get podcasts, I had Dr. Christina Francis from the American Association of Pro-Life OB-GYNs on talking about this very thing. So many people around us are scared and they're getting misinformed, and they think if I don't vote for abortion, sometimes to the point of birth, I'm going to miss out on emergency pregnancy services. So how do we navigate this? And what does it look like in Trump's America?
So in pro-life states, my biggest advice is under this administration is to not get complacent. Don't feel like you've won. And no, it may feel great right now. Roe's been overturned, abortion is prohibited, but it may not always be that way. And so I think it's important to advocate that abortion be explicitly not protected in your Constitution. That sounds kind of funny to put in the Constitution, abortion is not protected. But I think looking towards ballot initiatives, clarifying that in state constitutions would be very helpful. And so making sure we have momentum. even when we're winning, to not let us become complacent. And really, the best thing this administration can do for that and for us is to appoint good judges that will be interpreting these types of laws, that will be having to deal with this. And in states that maybe are more hostile to pro-life views, I think having this administration has kind of given them, they're scared. And so they want to protect abortion. And so we really need to fight against that as well, which brings to your other point, Lauren, making sure other people know how we care about life and how we intend to protect life. It's such a common misconception about pro-life care that they'll say, oh, you can't have treatment for ectopic pregnancies, you can't have treatment for miscarriage, or they'll deny you a C-section when you have preeclampsia if the baby hasn't reached fetal viability. And it's very important that people know that there's a difference between an elective abortion and between procedures, early delivery to save the life of the mother. You have two patients, the mother and the child, and they are both equal in value. And a pro-life physician will treat them as such. We can't let a mother die because of some severe complication in pregnancy, but we're not also going to kill the child. And it's just important to make those subtle distinctions. And I think the pro-abortion movement often knows these distinctions. They just lie.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
right.
we need to get out in front of it and let people know that, no, we really care about women. That's the misconception from the pro-abortion side, is that we only care about women until they have their child. And I think we need to show them that's not true. And we need to support local nonprofits, our local pregnancy centers, anything that provides economic needs to these women. And we need to care about all manner of pro-life laws, not just protecting unborn children, but also mothers and families, and to show other people that we truly do care about people. It's about being pro-life, not just being pro-baby. And I think pretty much everyone here probably knows we do that, but we need to get the message out that we do that we really care about all people. And Lauren, how you mentioned Maria from earlier, I thought that was an excellent example of she made a brave and probably very frightening decision to not go through an abortion that was paid for. And that was probably a much harder decision, but you brought together this community supporting her as an individual person and showing we really do care about individuals. And I think that's what we need to do going forward, to show you don't have to be afraid of abortion being made illegal. You will still be cared for. You will still get medical care, and you will get economic help as well.
Yeah, so good, Elissa. Real quick, there was something here in the comments. Jeremy, one of our co-leaders in the Salt Lake City area, he mentioned that military policy may also be different now. Can you kind of highlight maybe one big change with like the Trump administration, something you see really as a positive, maybe from a federal perspective or otherwise?
So I don't know the current state of the law, but we're looking at military bases and things like that are subject to federal law sometimes rather than state law. And so the Hyde Amendment has come into play, not funding abortions on military bases and things like that. And unfortunately, I don't know the current status of those. I know Trump has reinstated some of the rules that Biden had suspended and things like that, and to make it harder to use, so to not use federal money for abortions. But I will look into it.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And we're going to continue talking about this. You guys watch our blog, watch my podcast. There's a new Lauren Musica show. It hits every Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Central. You can look it up wherever you get podcasts. And we're talking about these very things that you guys are talking about in the comments and that we're discussing even with Elissa and Tina today. So, Elissa, thank you so much. So helpful to get the legal landscape right now, a little State of the Union. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
So good. Okay. Well, again, I just want to make a pit stop and emphasize why this is so important and why we're covering both law and culture. And it really is. And I learned this in law school, that law tends to follow culture, culture being the hearts of the people, right? And as you and I continue to choose to pray, to stand up, show up, advocate, and educate in this way, we are all helping to transform culture. And that's necessary to change the law. There's no doubt that one can pour into the other. We have seen that, right? When we imposed abortion on demand in all 50 states, it made some of our pro-life states pro-abortion. But there was also a movement of the people that even made the Roe versus Wade decision possible, just like there was a movement of the people, all of you doing what you were called to do, that allowed the Dobbs decision to be possible. There is such a close relationship between law and culture. You all were the yes to God that ushered in this miracle, that righted this nearly 50-year wrong that people said would never be possible. But as Elissa pointed out so well, obviously we've got work to do. We've got dangerous, unregulated mail order abortion causing drugs being shipped to women from Mexico and India. We've got our neighborhood pharmacies being converted into abortion pill dispensaries with seemingly no concerns with DIY abortions at home or the trauma that comes with such a regimen. You know, one of the most important conversations that we have is with one of our partners, Support After Abortion, and they're telling us, guys, that women are calling them from their home bathrooms, and they're saying, Planned Parenthood did not tell me that I was going to see my baby. They're looking at their babies literally, and their hands are in the toilet. And this is the hard reality of abortion, right? That they don't know what to do. What do I do? What do I do? You know, and they're making these phone calls. We've got a predatory abortion industry that's flooding into our border communities, many times salt to the earth communities, and turning some of our towns and cities into abortion destination or abortion tourist areas. Think about Granite City, Illinois, or Carbondale, Illinois, or, you know, they wanted to put up an abortion facility in Hobbs, New Mexico. Thankfully, that failed. You know, that's like a little Midland, Texas, like a little oil and gas town at the border of Texas and New Mexico, right? And then, of course, we've got a divided nation with some states protecting life, some enshrining abortion. So the question we have to ask ourselves, since we know that law follows culture, is how do we persist in our efforts to win the culture battle? And for that part of the discussion, I'm so happy to welcome Tina Whittington, just a brilliant strategic mind. Let me go ahead and introduce her. Tina grew up in a secular pro-choice home in Portland, Oregon. In junior high school, she had a conversion experience and was baptized into the church. And it was in high school ministry that she heard about abortion for the first time and became pro-life. Wow, that's powerful, like 2 sentences right there. There's a whole story behind that, but that's probably another webcast, right? Tina began full-time pro-life work in 1999 and started at Students for Life of America in 2010. In her role as executive vice president, she helps to oversee a team of over 90 team members, the majority of whom are spread throughout the country and managed virtually. So we're so excited to have with us tonight, Tina Whittington. Tina, how are you doing this evening?
Good. Thanks for having me on for this.
Absolutely. Such an important discussion. So let's jump right into it. Tina, Elissa was speaking about the changes we've seen across the country, legally and legislatively, regarding the issue of abortion. And now we're switching gears to talk about culture. So I'd love for you to spend a little bit of time on Students for Life's observations of changing attitudes on the issue of life. You are right there in the thick of it with Gen Z on college campuses, right? What are you seeing that is helping to change hearts and minds right now?
Yeah, so I did want to kind of go back to the Dobbs decision because I feel like it had a major impact on culture. So it's interesting because, you know, you're talking about how law follows culture. But I feel like with the Dobbs decision, it was like the justices got ahead of culture. And people were really ready for this because we saw a lot of people who were, you know, I guess, quote, pro-life, but then maybe were more personally pro-life, but wouldn't do it themselves, but had this sort of misplaced compassion for women of like, well, I don't want to totally take it away because what if a woman, quote, really needs it? And so it was sort of like this pendulum swing where we were really trucking before the Dobbs decision with reaching out to people on campuses and even digitally and having like great mind-changing conversations. But after Dobbs, we got a lot of pushback on campus, and I would say even some violence. People like protesting us when we would do just like a simple display about fetal development, yelling at us, pushing our tables over, oddly taking our fetal models and biting the heads. Like, it was just crazy. I feel like now that the promise of women dying in the streets from not having abortion access didn't actually happen. The sky is not falling. It's almost like we've come to a place where we can start having these conversations again. And I think it's because, like, no offense to millennials, but I am so glad the millennials are off campuses. There was such a culture with millennials of, safe spaces and you shouldn't offend anyone and just this fear of cancel culture. And I feel like Gen Z is like over that in a lot of cases. And they want to have like authentic conversations. They have a lot of respect for a truth that's told in kindness. And so things are changing. So we're back to now actually creating conversations on campus again and finding that common ground. So I just kind of wanted to like go through some of the things we're doing right now on campus, just to give you an idea of like how we're having mind-changing conversations. So what we do a lot is we test their knowledge on something and invite them into a conversation. You'd be surprised how maybe you guys wouldn't be surprised how many young people don't even know what happens in an abortion procedure.
Wow.
They don't even know fetal development facts, so they don't even understand. They'll say, "Oh, well, I think abortion should be illegal when the baby's heart starts beating," and they think the baby's heart starts beating, I don't know, 12 weeks. Like they have no clue how these things line up. So what we do is we invite them in. Hey, when do you think human rights should begin? And we start that conversation, and then we give them evidence-based information, or statistics, or pictures, or embryology textbooks, whatever we need to give them to challenge whatever they thought they knew, or whatever the cultural narrative is. And we use that to find common ground with them. After we kind of have that common ground, we can push them. Like, okay, so then what's really different between the baby at 15 weeks and 12 weeks? I mean, there's really not much different, and like, and we find that when we do that, we're actually, and it's not like everybody's mind changes a 180, right? Sometimes we do the kind of the 6-point scale. Sometimes it's like, I thought viability, but I'm walking away and saying, wow, when the heart starts beating. And that's a huge thing because, and I know it's not where we want them to be at the end of the day, but if we get people to commit to like, oh, an abortion after the heart starts beating is wrong, that would end a lot of abortions. So, so we're just working to change minds. We've got 2 things we're doing right now on campus. One that's working a little bit better, but we're doing this thing called Think Before You Drink. And it's about a third of the way through. We're taking it out to about 100 college campuses. But basically, we're asking people, off of what you guys were talking about earlier with chemical abortion, do you know what's in your drinking water? Wow. And surprisingly, people don't know how chemical abortion works, and that they're told to flush the babies down the toilet. So we show them how it all works, what the pills do, and that, we're actually flushing human remains, placenta and the active metabolites from mifepristone into our wastewater. And we're finding like people like want to change that. So their mind is first shifted on that gross, I don't want to be drinking my neighbor's abortion, to, oh, wow, that's actually a human being.
Yeah.
We're flushing a human being. So we're finding like that's changing. So about 11% of the people that we talk to actually change their minds on abortion from starting at that point, because it finds common ground. There's a lot of the MAHA movement. People are really interested in like clean water and hormone-free meat and all that stuff. So it's been a really great point of contact for them to start the conversation. And then the other one we're doing on campuses is we're doing a defund Planned Parenthood Cemetery of the Innocents. And we're just asking them, hey, do you think we need Planned Parenthood? And we're then, we talk about what Planned Parenthood does. Again, most of them don't know that they're the nation's largest abortion provider. They don't know how abortion actually happens. And we're finding that one is about a 7% minds changed rate. So it's the think before you drink is working really well. I think because we're kind of an environmental focused generation, the Gen Zers. It's been a really great place to start. But I think anytime you can ask them and invite them in with a challenging question, when do you think human rights should begin? Do you know what's in your drinking water? Do you think you need Planned Parenthood? It gives them a point to formulate what they believe or what they think they know. And again, you come in with that sort of, well, let me give you some new challenging information. I think another interesting thing about Gen Z is millennials were okay living in cognitive dissonance. I can't tell you how many conversations I had with people that they'd be like, well, we just have to be okay living in this place where unfortunately a baby has to die for a woman to have her rights. And I was like, I can't live in that place. Like, and I found Gen Z is not okay with cognitive dissonance. They really, if you give them new information, they actually want to sit and think about it. And they might challenge you back. They might not change their mind right on the spot, but you can see they're really thinking about these things a lot deeper and with more thoughtfulness, more active response versus just reaction, I guess I would say. Mm-hmm. So it's exciting to be back in this place where we can have actual conversations with people again.
Wow. And that is key to changing hearts and minds. Fascinating. Yes. That's a really neat overview, Tina. Let me ask you this. How do you feel the new administration is impacting the way Gen Z is responding to discussions? Like, is Trump having any effect on the folks on campus? And then you talked about defunding Planned Parenthood. Do you think this generation is open to the rising generation is open to that? Do you think we're ripe for that right now?
Yes. So it's interesting because Trump has done actually quite a bit for pro-life issues. It's not like all super obvious, and it's hard because like a lot of the stuff, it's not in the news. It's not the headline stuff. So I did kind of want to just hit top line stuff of things that have happened with Trump. Trump wiped all the reproductive health abortion information from the White House webpage. Yay. The Pentagon stopped all taxpayer-funded military abortion travel. I heard you guys talking about that earlier. He pardoned the 23 pro-life political prisoners from jail. He reinstated the Mexico City policy. So now our tax dollars aren't funding abortions in other countries. He signed an executive order enforcing the Hyde Amendment, which is huge because what is a law if it's not enforced? He reestablished male and female federally, protecting women and children from transgenderism and bodily and chemical mutilation. Then he filled a lot of cabinet positions with pro-life champions. And even those, some we've been concerned about, are they really going to, champion life or not? Specifically like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He was not a pro-life, well, he probably still is not a pro-life champion, but he promised during his confirmation hearings he was going to end fetal stem cell research, end late-term abortions, investigate the safety of chemical abortion pills, appoint pro-life leaders to HHS, protect conscience exemptions for pro-life doctors, end federal funding for abortions domestically and abroad. And then he also affirmed like every abortion is a tragedy. And he his quotes is, "We cannot be a moral nation with 1.2 million abortions a year." And so I feel like Trump has done a lot. And he's kind of said, it's up to the states, and he's tried to stay in his lane that abortion is not federal. And so I feel like we're in a good spot for defunding Planned Parenthood, because if abortion isn't federal, then we shouldn't be funding the nation's largest abortion provider federally. So we've been, talking about that. We've also been talking to folks around him and in his administration about the fact that by funding Planned Parenthood, you're funding your political enemies. Planned Parenthood, through their PACs and super PACs, fund Democrats who push abortion through all 9 months and beyond, abortion extremism. So we're hoping to see some movement on that. We've got, a lot of folks on the Hill who want to see a budget pass that doesn't fund Planned Parenthood. And with the Doge stuff, there's a lot possible. But I think I don't know how much your average young person even knows about what he's doing on the life issue for us, honestly. So I think for pro-life young people, they're really excited about seeing all this movement. For your average young person, I don't think they know, because these aren't the things making the headlines. But I think our biggest concern and the confusion our students have had is, how is he doing all this pro-life stuff, but then he's actively supporting and promoting IVF? So that's been confusing and disheartening, I think, for a lot of our students. And, you want to give grace that maybe he just doesn't understand how the process works, or how many babies, more babies die through IVF than through abortion, because of the mass amounts of human beings they create and destroy or freeze, or don't make it through the process. And so it's a lot of loss of life. So it's been confusing, but like I said, we just try to give information where we can, and we're trying to educate people, our legislators, about what IVF is and the death toll it actually takes on human life, not to mention that it actually can harm women's bodies. It's not a healthy choice for, be pumped with all those hormones and drugs. So I don't know how much Trump is having an effect. I think people are really seeing it's the states where we're going to have to dig in and make the biggest difference.
So such an important insight. Last question here. We are all hoping for a sea change.
Yeah.
We're all hoping to make a difference with our family, our friends, our neighbors. We're praying for the success of so many collective grassroots efforts, even represented on this call tonight. For those who want to make a difference in their communities, what would you say to them? How can people best approach people in their circle and beyond? And how can we work together to gradually and finally end abortion?
I think it's always be prepared to be a light, and being willing to go into the darkness or the darkest places, which could be in front of the sidewalk. It could be in the halls of your state house. I don't know where that is for you, but I think it's really about being prepared in all circumstances to defend life and be a light for life, whether that's knowing where your pregnancy center is, or knowing which churches, provide food or clothing or what have you, so that when you run into a family who's, in need or considering an abortion, you know where to point them to. I think there's a lot of, you were talking earlier, I think there's some negativity in the movement. We've lost a lot of the ballot initiatives. We weren't ready for that. But I do believe God is the God of life. And I think he wants to end abortion because these are children, Imago Dei, these are children in his image. And so he wants to end abortion. And I just feel like it's sort of a Moses moment where I think about the promised land, and, God told Moses and the Israelites that he'd give them the promised land. And when they were close, Moses sent the 12 spies to spy on the land for 40 days. And this is in Numbers, I think it's 13. But he sent them into the land, the 12 spies. And after 40 days, they came back and they reported, right, to all the Israelites, oh my gosh, the fruit's amazing. The land is plentiful. It flows with milk and honey. And they brought the fruit, oh my gosh, these are the biggest grapes we've ever seen, it's amazing. And then they go, but nevertheless, wow, the people there are strong. The cities are fortified. They're so large. And oh my gosh, the descendants of Anak are there, the huge men that, were fierce warriors. And there's no way we could actually take it. And then of all those 12 men, Caleb, he quieted the people and said, let's go up and take possession, for we are well able to overcome it, because he believed in God's promise. And I think we need to be prepared to be that sort of a Caleb generation, that there's a promised land where every child will be welcomed into the world, where every family will have the support they need to choose life, where our laws will protect human life from the moment conception until natural death. And I believe that, and that's sort of our promised land. But I think we need to be Caleb and say, even though I see, the abortion industry can outspend us and their websites are better and, they've got more legislators on their side or whatever it is, we've got God on our side. And that is so much more powerful than any legislator, than any law, than any point of culture. And I think we just need to have that voice of Caleb in us rising up and saying, you know what, we are well able to overcome it, because I believe we will.
Okay, like you almost made me cry. So amazing. That's going to be my new battle cry. We are a Caleb generation, right? Yeah. And you're right. We have God on our side. We have truth and we have light and life. And even this woman that I've had the pleasure of ministering to just this past week, I've talked to hundreds of women in over 20 years on the sidewalk, and it never ceases to amaze me, the power of love, the power of light, the power of help and support, right? That was enough to overcome being pummeled by the abortion industry with all of these messages and all these phone calls and all of this fear that they were injecting into the conversation and playing on every one of her buttons, and she's falling apart, but yet she was given hope. And I think if we rise up and we do what we are called to do, we're an unstoppable force. This is not a time to doubt ourselves. This is not a time to shrink back. This is a time to move forward. Women, you are called to be the Esthers of the generation, right? That move forward, that claim the land, that say yes. We have a royal priesthood before us. We're priest, prophet, and king. We are called to stand up for what is good, true, and right. And I hope that every person on this call will really hear Tina's words and take them to heart. And I just want to further encourage you, if you're like me, I don't know, maybe you're not a super extrovert, maybe you're an introvert, but either way, you're part of this movement. You need encouragement too. You need fellowship. We need to come together. We need to strategize. We need to keep talking about what's working, what's not. I want to personally invite you to join us for the Celebrate Life weekend. It's the last weekend in June this year. We're going to mark the Dobbs anniversary once again, and we're going to talk about, again, how we go from post-Roe to abortion-free. We've got a rally, a gala, and an activism event. Tina, why are you excited about it? And then can you talk about the diaper drive? Because that is super cool. Yeah. That is really cool.
So I am excited. I feel like for years, I've been in the pro-life movement for about 26 years, so not as long as some folks, but marching every year in January in the freezing cold for Roe to be reversed was like a huge sacrifice, and was hard and was sad. And we do need to take a beat and acknowledge the loss of life. Yeah. But one thing I love about Dobbs and the anniversary of that decision is that it's a moment to celebrate. We had a tide that turned. We have an opportunity now that God has swung open a door that has been slammed closed for us for 50 years, that now we need to strategize and figure out how do we plow through this door and finally end abortion. And so I'm excited because we get to come together to celebrate something and bring, joy back to the movement. But it's about strategy. And God opened that door. So you guys host an amazing conference where you learn what are the tools. So the door's open. What are the tools that we need to actually end abortion in our communities? How do we work with our churches? How do we work with our pregnancy centers? What do we do on the sidewalks? It's so good. So I think for me, it's a moment of strategy. And so that's what I love. The March for Life is awesome, but there's just something so different about the feeling that you get in June. And you don't have to wear 3 parkas.
That's always nice. Everyone always said, I want to go to DC when it's nice and I'm, catching a view of the cherry blossoms or whatever it is, right? Yeah. And you have your opportunity. So go to celebratelife.weekend.com. I think there's still ticket discounts right now, but they don't last for very long, right?
Not much longer. Yeah. So there's discounts for the conference. And then there's the gala you can add on, and then the rally's free. But the real exciting part about the rally is that we are going to be on Capitol Hill this year. So it's a real change. We did Lincoln Memorial for 2 years. We're going to be at Capitol Hill because this is our time to defund Planned Parenthood and really make that rally call. So we're trying to collect almost 400,000 diapers. We're working with Every Life diaper company to have the nation's largest diaper drive. So we want to get almost 400,000 diapers to represent the number of babies' lives that are ended every year by Planned Parenthood, to say these diapers should be filled here on the Capitol today, but they are not. And we need to defund Planned Parenthood once and for all. So it's going to be an amazing visual display of what we should be celebrating, and kind of a push on our members of Congress to like, let's get it across the finish line, because if we can defeat this Goliath, there's a lot of potential for us to keep, get those dominoes falling, and for us to make some really huge progress on ending abortion. So I'm really excited. It's really fun. We're working with pastors in the DC, Virginia, Maryland area to bring folks out to collect, to come get the diapers and make sure we're advertising it really well, so that hopefully we give out 400,000 diapers on that same day.
Yeah. So good. So good, Tina. Thank you. Yes. All of you come hang out with us. Yeah. We'd love to hang out with you. Let's partake of the biggest diaper drive that the nation has, maybe the world has ever seen. Right. And let's show people what it means to be pro-life, that we're showing up for these women, that we're willing to stand with them, arm in arm, supporting them, walking with them. What a beautiful display of unity for all of us in the movement. So hope you'll join us. Thank you so much for being with us tonight, Tina. I'm going to remember, oh gosh, it's like resonating so much. I'm going to be sitting on what you said. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. All right, everybody. I know we're a little bit past the hour. Hang tight. I'm going to tell you a story that is going to blow your mind. And then we have a huge announcement tonight that is really going to help move all of this work forward. And so again, if you can hang with me just a little bit longer, we'll be done here in just a few minutes. So again, just to add on to what Tina said, in the Dobbs decision, we had a seismic shift on abortion rights. Roe versus Wade, the Supreme Court decision that imposed abortion on demand on all 50 states, allowing it through all 9 months of pregnancy if states choose, had been the law of the land for nearly 50 years. And then in 2022, a seismic shift, a sea change, the Dobbs versus Jackson Supreme Court decision overturned it, and it was set back into the hands of the people. But again, we continue to experience aftershocks, right? We've got these ballot measures that could go either way. We have states that have successfully enshrined abortion in their state constitution. Yes, it can be changed, but we have work to do in order to make it change. Women continue to be hurt by abortion. If you guys just were to go to YouTube and you type abortion 911, did you know this? You can go on YouTube and type abortion 911 into the search bar to hear actual emergency calls following a botched abortion. And we've got to go to bat, not just for these children. Yes, we want to save these lives, these precious, irreplaceable lives, but also these women who I believe are another victim often in abortion, pressure from family, pressure from the industry and the culture, right? And again, I just want to tell you how we have, by God's grace, together been able to rescue, even just this week, a woman from a late-term abortion in Washington, D.C. Let me tell you that story that I promised. So maybe about a week ago, my sister-in-law came to me in Dallas. This is my sister-in-law, Debbie. And she said, Lauren, my friend takes her daughter to this daycare, and there's a daycare assistant there who just told her that she has a late-term abortion scheduled this Monday, meaning yesterday, this Monday in Washington, D.C. And I said, how far along is she? And she said, 26 weeks. 26 weeks pregnant, guys, like 6 months pregnant, right? What is unbelievable is that an abortion fund had set up for her, everything paid, from her flight to her hotel, to her Uber, to her meals. They established a Zelle connection so that they could dump money into her account. They said, when you make it to your appointment, we're going to put another over $400 in your account for meals to go back to Texas. In other words, I looked at just the meal plan. And if I did the math right, so I went to law school, so I didn't have to do math, right? But if I did the math right, she was getting $610 to eat on the road to go get a free late-term abortion. And by the way, stay in a very nice Marriott in the heart of Washington, D.C. In other words, if anybody that partook of this opportunity, so to speak, from the abortion industry were to play their cards right, you would make money off of your late-term abortion. But as Tina said so well, and Elissa even alluded to, the power of peace, prayer, and love is so powerful. And so I went ahead and, said, please let this woman know I'm so happy to talk to her. And so they said, okay, this daycare nap time is 2:00. Lauren, will you call her at 2:00? I said, yes, absolutely. So I said my prayers. I got people praying. I made my little Facebook post. Please pray. I'm talking to this woman who has a late term abortion scheduled in Washington, D.C. on Monday. Please pray, right? So I call her and she picks up the phone and says, hello. And I just said, hi there. I'm Lauren. I'm a friend of so-and-so's, right? Who takes her daughter to the daycare. And I said, hey, what I do for a living is I help women who are facing unexpected pregnancies. And this is what I do all day, every day. I know you must be in a tough spot. I heard that you have an abortion appointment coming up on Monday. And I'm just thinking you must be dealing with so much. You must be in a world of chaos right now. And I just want you to know you're not alone. And I'd love to be there for you. And I'd love to hear your story if you'd let me. And there was a pause. In fact, I told myself, time to stop talking, right? There was a pause. And this woman just started bawling her eyes out and suddenly pouring her heart out to me. And I found out that they lived in a room in the back of a house, her and her 2 teenage kiddos. And, this baby, of course, was unexpected. She has diabetes. They are struggling to make ends meet. They were living off of beans. Most of their meals were beans. And I asked her towards the end of the conversation as we're, trading information, I'm talking about how we can help her and how we can come alongside of her, that we will walk with her even after the baby's born, as long as she needs us to. But hey, I'm your new best friend. I'm your new best friend. I won't leave you, right? And she suddenly starts sobbing really hard. And I couldn't even understand her. I said, hey, Maria, can you start over again, honey? I want to hear what you're saying. And she's sobbing and she says something else and I can't understand what she's saying. And I literally am saying a prayer at this moment, like, God, I really want to hear what this woman is saying. She's obviously repeating it, right? And finally, I hear her say, you won't leave me, right? You won't leave me, right? And I said, no, Maria, I won't leave you. I promise you, I'm your new best friend. We can talk every day if you want. You are not alone. And I have a community of people around me, and we're going to make sure that you have everything that you need to have your baby and be okay. And that sealed the deal. But here's the thing. She went to go cancel her abortion appointment with this abortion fund. She did a screenshot of the cancellation. She sent it to me. Meanwhile, she sent me the emails about everything being paid for, because we were trying to figure out how to cancel this abortion for her, right? And later that night, she starts texting me and she says, Lauren, they won't stop calling me. I said, what do you mean they won't stop calling you? She had to block 2 different phone numbers eventually, right? People are texting her, hey, did you talk to an anti-abortion group? What did they tell you? Do you know that they promise all these things and then they're going to drop you? I mean, absolutely unbelievable, playing on every single one of her fears, right? And finally, I just said, I got to jump on the phone and reassure her that we are serious. You and I are serious about what we are saying tonight, that we are not going to leave these women alone, right? And so I went ahead and gave her a call and I just said, Maria, I am serious. Do you trust me? Have I made good on every promise that I've given you so far? And she said, yes, you have. And I said, I promise you, I will not leave you. I promise you, we will journey together. We will figure out what you need to get out of survival mode to be okay. I will make sure that you get it from one of our partners, or I will supply it myself. And she said, okay. And she blocked 2 different numbers and turned off all those messages from the abortion industry. And that's the power of love. That's the power of presence. That's what sidewalk advocates are doing in front of every abortion facility that we're present at. We're now at 282 abortion and abortion referral centers, because yes, we still have to be at these referral facilities in these pro-life states, right? But again, whether abortion is legal, illegal, limited, or embroiled in a court case, you and I cannot stop our mission of serving moms in crisis, saving the lives of these precious, irreplaceable preborn children, and ultimately making abortion not only illegal, but unthinkable. And I want us all just to pause and consider the fact that even when we are successful in ending abortion for good, women are still going to need the body of Christ to be there to provide life-affirming resources and support, right? And right now, especially at this vital point in history, when people are watching us and seeing that we're going to follow through and we're going to make good on our word, that we're willing to stand there in the wind and the snow and the sleet and the rain, right? That we're going to have a presence there, that we're going to be there for them and help them, not with a hand out, but a hand up to the abundant life that Christ wants to give them. We have an opportunity, you and I, to stand in the gap, providing real help and hope before it's too late. I mean, imagine if every community, every pregnant woman knew exactly where they could turn for resources and support. Imagine if we were present outside every abortion and abortion referral facility in the country. That is the professed mission of Sidewalk Advocates for Life. That's our vision, is that there would be no uncovered facility in the United States and then beyond. We're even growing internationally, right? Because you and I are called to be there for the Marias in our lives. We are there. We are called to be in our communities, reaching out to these precious women and letting them know that the lie given to them by the abortion industry is from the pit of hell. I even said to Maria at one point, I said, you send that straight back to hell, girl. I am here. I'm not leaving you. We're going to do this. It's going to be okay, right? And that reassuring word sometimes is all it takes. The offer of free help is all it takes to get a woman to abandon her abortion appointment and go next door to the Life Affirming Pregnancy Resource Center. But right at this moment, there are 765 abortion facilities. Sidewalk Advocates presently cover about 282 of those facilities. We're at about 1/3 of U.S. facilities. But imagine what would happen if God's people were outside every single one of these facilities. And the only thing, believe it or not, that's holding us back, just to be transparent with you, that's always been my promise as president and CEO of this organization, is that I'll be real with you, right? The only thing that's holding us back is funding, because it's not cheap to train, equip, and support and sustain a team of sidewalk advocates at an abortion facility. It costs us about $2,000 to get a new team started, and then about $6,300 to sustain that team over the long haul over the course of a year. But I'll tell you, it is worth every penny. So here's the big news. Here's the big announcement that we are getting ready to make. You have an opportunity, even if you can't get to the sidewalk, to stand with us on the sidewalk, to help moms like Maria, to ensure that no woman is ever lied to again or buys into the lies of the abortion industry, that has real hope and help. So tonight, I'm so excited to tell you that a generous group of ministry partners has banded together to offer you and I a $250,000 matching fund challenge to keep this life-saving mission moving forward. So your generous gift, anything that you give tonight, is going to be instantly doubled to build more teams of sidewalk advocates so that we can interface with more moms and save more lives. You can provide the pathway for us to realize the vision of every sidewalk, every soul. So here's how you can do that. Okay, so right now, you can go and click offers. So if you're watching the recording afterwards, there should just be a link right in front of you. But if you are watching live right at this moment, you can click the offers button and then the make a gift button to give. And it should open a separate window where you can go ahead and make your gift. And by the way, I'm going to hang on for a couple more minutes here. As I see gifts coming in, I want to go ahead and personally thank you. I'm going to just say first name and state so that I preserve your confidentiality, right? But I do want to give you a shout out if you give tonight. Everything that you give tonight will be instantly doubled. And any monthly gift that you sign up for, it will be annualized, multiplied times 12, and then instantly doubled. So what that means is if you say, well, Lauren, I want to help you start a new team of sidewalk advocates, that's $2,000. But when you give, it'll be instantly doubled, and you will be responsible for starting 2 new teams of sidewalk advocates. That's the magic here of the matching fund, but it's only for a limited time. Again, some of you even who can get out to the sidewalk, maybe you can give of your precious treasure, but either way, can all of us maybe consider giving something tonight, right? And I never ask anybody to do anything that I won't do myself. I always give during our matching campaigns because it is an opportunity to move this work further and faster towards that ultimate vision of full coverage of every facility across the United States and beyond. Think of the very real difference that you and I can make if the body of Christ is in front of every single one of these facilities. And what's amazing is about every $30, we see a life saved. So once again, I invite you to click the offers button and then the make a gift button to give. And this is the last thing that I'll say before we close in prayer tonight. You know, Sidewalk Advocates for Life, we stand at such a unique point in history. We're the nation's largest peaceful sidewalk outreach organization. And I don't say this as any point of pride whatsoever. This is to God the glory for this, but we're the only organization that literally is poised to scale and run and cover every uncovered facility. We've got some incredible sidewalk groups that are, you know, doing a lot regionally and locally, and we bless that. We want them to flourish and flourish as much as God sees fit. We got 40 Days for Life with all their incredible prayer vigils across the United States, right? And we even work a lot of times hand in glove with 40 Days for Life. They provide the prayer presence. We're the ones reaching out with our words. It's ora et labora, it's prayer and work. It works hand in glove. It really is a winning combination, right? But we stand at a really unique point in history with sidewalk outreach to be able to train, equip, and support people just like you who want to go to the darkest place in their local community and affect change. So can you imagine if we can get from 282 to over 700 facilities, how many more babies will be saved? Already 24,000 in our 10-year history. Can we go ahead and add some more abortion facilities in coverage tonight? Can we do that? Thanks to your help. So again, this bonus match, we have just a few weeks to make goal. Anything that you give tonight and in the handful of days that follow, it will be instantly doubled. So again, if your heart is moved to partner with us tonight to realize the dream of ensuring that no woman walks into these facilities without real hope and help, I encourage you to click the Make a Gift button on your screen, or here's another website in case something's not working for you, but you can go to sidewalkadvocates.org and click donate in the upper right-hand corner, or direct to sidewalkadvocates.org/donate, and you can give a gift tonight. So let me go ahead and lead us in a prayer tonight as we're all discerning what the Lord is calling us to do. And here in just a little bit, what I want to do is thank all of you who are considering giving tonight or remitting a gift tonight. I'll go ahead and say your first name and your state as well. And some people are saying that they're having trouble seeing the offer button. Oh, here it is. Okay, I'm so sorry. I needed to hit one more button. So there's the offer button right there, or you can go to sidewalkadvocates.org/donate. Sorry, y'all. I think we had a little bit of a technology issue, but now it should be working. So again, I'm going to lead us in a prayer tonight as we get ready to close out the evening and as we're discerning what the Lord is calling us to. But again, anything that you give tonight will be instantly doubled. So 100 becomes 200, 500 becomes 1,000, 2,000 becomes 4,000, and then you're sponsoring the start of 2 new Sidewalk Advocate teams. So again, every penny that you give will be used towards this mission of building teams of sidewalk advocates, of interfacing with moms and saving innocent children. So thank you for whatever you can give tonight. So with that, again, hopefully you all can see that. Thank you for putting that in the chat. I just opened the chat again, and really appreciate y'all. So let's go ahead and pray together tonight as people are discerning their call and what it is that they're called to give, and we will go from there. And I want to thank some people. I want to say first name and state. So go ahead and give sidewalkadvocates.org/donate if your heart is moved, or you can click the offers button and click the make a gift button. And as I see it come through, we'll be thanking some people. So let's go ahead and pray. Heavenly Father, we just come to you tonight again in the mighty name of Jesus. We thank you so much for, God, all that you are doing to save lives and to end abortion. Lord, I just want to thank you for Maria tonight who, gosh, what a miracle, who chose life, who rejected abortion even though everything was paid for. That's what we're up against here in post-Roe America. Oh, so many of these women are being lied to, being deceived. They're having their fears played on. God, I just pray that you would use us to stand in the gap, whether that be as sidewalk advocates on the sidewalk or giving of our precious treasure to make this work possible. Lord, I just pray that you would inspire us with what it is that we are called to do in the greatest human rights movement on earth, how we're called to save lives, impact eternal souls, bring people out of the abortion industry and into the arms of Christ and close these facilities. Lord, we thank you for, even in just our ministry alone, the now 24,000 children who have been spared, the 24,000 mothers who have been spared from the trauma of abortion. the 103 eternal souls who have left the abortion business with the help and witness of a sidewalk advocate, the 58 facility closures, leaving these communities abortion free. And we know, God, it's because your people have said yes to you. And I just praise you and thank you for each and every person on the line tonight, those who are going to watch the recording, each and every person called according to your purpose, Lord, to stand up, to show up, to speak up. Thank you, God, for the important role that they're playing in history in their community and state and nation. Lord, I just pray that you would continue to bless this ministry and our sister ministries, our partner ministries, that you would help us know the way that we should go. And God, I do pray for that vision to be realized, that your people would be in front of every one of these dark places. That just as Tina said, that we would be able to go into these places and bring you into the darkest of places, to light it up, to bring people to the love and knowledge of you so that they can be saved and they can bring the good news to others. Jesus, we just thank you so much for our time together tonight. I pray that this has encouraged people, that you continue, even after this webcast, to give people words of inspiration, that you give them their marching orders, that you help them to be confident in what it is that you are asking them to do. We thank you, Lord, that we can be a small part of what you are doing to end abortion. We love you. We praise you. It's in your most holy and precious name we pray. Amen. All right, everybody. Thank you again so much. Okay, let me go ahead and thank some people tonight. Again, you can go to sidewalkadvocates.org/donate to make your gift right now. And I'd love a chance to thank you. It takes a little bit to get from our system into my inbox, so I'm going to read it as many of these as possible. Let me go ahead and do a search here. Again, thank you for everyone's generosity. This is really going to help move this effort forward, the presence on the sidewalk. So I first want to thank Leilani. And, it doesn't say the state. Our new form doesn't say the state. So I'm going to say first names. You guys know who you are. Okay. So I want to thank Leilani, as well as Melissa. Thank you so much for your gift, Melissa. Huge blessing. Ken, I know you. Thank you so much, Ken. Giving again. We so appreciate your support. Randall, we thank you. I've seen your name around as well. Thank you so much again for supporting the sidewalk advocates on the front lines. Let me go ahead and refresh here. I've got another Melissa. I know who this Melissa is. Thank you so much, Melissa. I know not always easy to give from where you sit. Thank you. I'd like to thank Jacob as well. Thank you so much, Jacob. Okay, let me go ahead and refresh here. We've got Teresa. Thank you so much, Teresa, for giving. Really appreciate you. I want to go ahead and thank Liz. And then we've got another Jacob. We've got another Lauren. We've got another Thomas. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Angelo as well. Liz also gave a monthly gift. She just signed up for a monthly gift. Let me go ahead and refresh here. We're cheering these folks on. So again, sidewalkadvocates.org/donate if you want to make a gift and see it instantly doubled tonight. Let me go ahead and go here to the next page. We've got Gerald as well. Gerald, thank you so much. Great blessing. Mark gave a one-time gift and also signed up for a monthly gift. That is a great, great blessing. All right, well, feel free to keep it coming here. I'm going to hang on for just one more minute so I can thank more people who are giving. Again, keep praying, keep standing up, keep showing up. I hope you all will consider coming to hang out with the Sidewalk Advocates for Life national team at the Celebrate Life conference at the very end of June. You can go to celebratelife.weekend.com. We would love to strategize and collaborate with you and encourage you and be encouraged in turn, right? This is hard work. It's not easy. And even with Maria, this beautiful mom that I was able to, by God's grace, convince to cancel her abortion appointment yesterday. It was because I had an army of light behind me. It was because of all of you. It's because I knew that if I went to my Facebook page, that if I went to our ministry, that we were going to be able to make good on every promise that I gave her. And this is what it means to be pro-life, is that we're going to show up. We're going to be on the sidewalk. If we can't be on the sidewalk, how else can we help? And for many of you, that is going to be giving of your precious treasure. So thank you again for being part of this. I want to go ahead and thank, let's see, it just came in, Eduardo. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate you. I think you're in New York, if I'm looking at the email address right. So Eduardo from New York, thank you so much. Annette, that is wonderfully generous. Thank you so much, Annette. Great blessing. Really appreciate you. Again, I'm going to hang out for just a little bit longer. I want to thank y'all. If you're giving tonight, I want to be able to give you a shout out. Really appreciate you. If you want to read more about our journey here at Sidewalk Advocates for Life, we post a lot of our save stories, a lot of our tips and strategies right on our website, sidewalkadvocates.org. If you are wanting to bring a team of sidewalk advocates to your local abortion or abortion referral facility, yes, we're still in the pro-life states because we have an opportunity to intercept women before they drive or fly to the next nearest abortion facility 300 or 600 miles away. Many of them are still going to Planned Parenthood, to get a ticket across state lines to get that abortion paid for, right? And so we have a presence in every single state that welcomes us in. And so we're in the pro-life states, the pro-abortion states, states that are kind of somewhere in between, like North Carolina and Utah right now, right? Even though I'm believing Utah is going to be abortion free at some point. So again, we cannot give up. We have to press forward and do what God is calling us to do. And if we just bring Christ to the darkness, we believe that he will do the work, right? Isn't that true? So, okay. Well, with that, let me go ahead and thank you all once again. A huge thank you to Elissa and Tina for their presentations. It was my great joy to MC this event tonight. We will be posting the replay here at prolifewebcast.com. Look for that. Share it with your friends and neighbors if they can be encouraged. And please pray us through this matching fund. We've only got a few weeks to go ahead and make good on this, and think of how many teams of sidewalk advocates we're going to be able to start and sustain with these precious matching funds. It really is such a great opportunity because there's no guarantee that we're going to have a matching fund, any campaign, any season here at Sidewalk Advocates for Life. So thank you to those ministry partners behind this incredible matching opportunity. And thank you to all of you who go to the sidewalk, who pray with us, who support us. We cannot do it without you. So thank you everybody for being with us tonight. And we look forward to updating you in the coming weeks and days. Have a great evening.